One thing that I wanted to mention while you had said, what else would we want to have commercialized? And, would love to partner with somebody that's interested in doing that, that knows what they're doing in the manufacturing and marketing and all that kind of thing space. And this is another reason that I love research. We were looking at some data from one of our bite sensors for the Fido vest. And it was 3 different dogs, and it was, a bite. And the study was that we asked the dog to bite 10 times. And we wanted to see, how hard were they biting, that kind of thing. And so they showed me the graph of 3 different dogs. And I said, you know what? Looking at this data, I can tell you which dog this is. So they weren't labeled, but I said, this top one, that's like a metronome. So, I said 10 times, get it, get it, get it, get it. And it would look like just completely even. That was my Border Collie Sky, who was perfect in every way and was a service dog, could have easily been a service dog, passed the service dog test. The middle one was a dog we had raised that had failed canine companions because he was too soft. And so you see, we told him to bite and he'd kind of bite. And then we tell him to bite again. He'd bite a little bit. And it just looked, you could see he was trying, but it wasn't up to threshold. And then the bottom one was my friend's agility dog, who was super high drive over the top. And his giraffe looked like this, it was like up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I said, that's Blitz, that's Schubert, that's Sky. And they said, yeah, you're right. And I said, I wonder if we could tell something about a dog's temperament by giving them a bite sensor and just looking at the data. And so this started another project, which we call from a company called DogStar, which actually the funding came from the military, but we were interested in looking at patterns of activation in an instrumented dog toy. So we started out with an instrumented tennis ball, something that was the size of a tennis ball, a silicone ball, and an instrumented tug toy. And I just wanted to see, can we tell the difference between the dogs that are going to make it as a service dog and the dogs that aren't going to make it as a service dog? Since I had a release dog that, Canine Companions usually lets the puppy raiser keep the dog if they fail. So we kept him. And so I thought this was really, really fascinating. So we did a 2-year-long study with Canine Companions where we went in and all of their dogs that had just come in for advanced training, so these dogs are about a year to 18 months old, we tested them with the ball. 5 minutes with the ball, throw it 10 times, 5 minutes with the tug toy, have them tug on it 10 times. And then we followed their careers to see how did they end up. And it turned out that we could predict with almost 90% accuracy which dogs were going to graduate and which ones weren't. And Canine Companions graduates at only about 40% of their dogs that they raise, then train, and breed specifically to be service dogs. But that's how perfect the service dog has to be, because this dog is going to be given free of charge to somebody that has a disability. And they probably don't have any motor strength. They probably don't, they might not be able to speak. These dogs have to be perfect. So being able to release the dogs earlier that aren't going to make it, even if we're wrong 10% of the time, because we were, I think it was 87.5% accurate. Even if we're wrong, we still could save that organization, which depends on donations for their operation. We save them $5 million a year if we can release those dogs early. So that was something that was a big aha. It's like, wow, we can do quantification of temperament. So imagine how that might be for a breeder of agility dogs, say. So which ones are going to be the best agility dogs? We might be able to tell just from 5 minutes with a ball. What if you're looking at nosework dogs, detection dogs? Is this dog going to be a good bomb dog or a better cancer dog or something else? We're actually looking at those kind of things with Auburn University right now. We are partnering with Auburn's Canine Performance Sciences group down there, and we have funding from Homeland Security to work on that. We also did a longitudinal study with my perfect dog, Sky, the Border Collie. We said, well, let's see how this goes over time. So we threw the ball for him, 10 times every day for a year. And then we'd take his data and run it through our machine learning classifier to say, did he pass as a service dog or not? And every single day he passed as a service dog until one day, about 8 months in, the students ran the data through and they said, he doesn't pass today. And I said, what? What do you mean he doesn't pass today? Is there something wrong with the ball? So we took it apart. We looked at the hardware. There was nothing wrong with it. Did you guys change some code? No, we didn't. Anyway, eventually, for some reason, Sky rolled over. His whole underside was flame red. he was sick. He had a staph infection. And
Oh,
I
wow.
couldn't tell. I, who, was his owner and knew him like the back of my hand, couldn't tell he was sick, but the ball could tell. So we started thinking this could be used for medical monitoring. So we currently have a project with the Georgia Aquarium, where one of my master's students, Josh Terry, built a toy for the sea otters because they have some geriatric sea otters. And we said, we think that we can build toys that will quantify the behavior of these animals and be able to tell when they're not right. So that, usually otters are very destructive. They like to shake things and bang them against the wall, things like that. And they do that. But we can tell that today they're not banging it as hard as usual. And there might be something going on with this otter. So the Georgia Aquarium's been wonderful working with us, and we're interested in taking it into other species, like maybe the beluga whales or maybe, dolphins and things like that, lots of animals that might be willing to play with a toy or interact with some sort of a tangible object, that we'd be able to measure that interaction and tell you something about that animal's health. And that, I think, has huge commercial potential. We think we might be able to take our smart toys, is what we call them, smart toys, into a shelter and assess dogs in a shelter for temperament. So is this going to be a good dog to be in a home where, needs to kind of be a couch potato, or is this the kind of dog that's going to need 2 hours of hard exercise every day? We might be able to tell that. So these are things we're still exploring. Again, they're prototypes, but we do think that there's some pretty tremendous commercial potential, and we're pursuing patents on these things right now.